With 2025 just around the corner, we thought it was time for us to look back at some of the best story games of this year. And so, here are 15 of the best single-player games that came out in 2024. You don't want to miss out on the bonus game at the very end. Number 1. Alan Wake 2. I'm gonna start off this list with what we believe is the most immersive game of 2024 in terms of story, gameplay, and of course visuals. I'm talking about Alan Wake 2, the sequel that took more than a decade to release, but we've got to admit, it was well worth the wait. We actually haven't reached the ending yet, so no spoilers here, but the journey so far has been an epic saga packed with the kind of unexpected twists that only an Alan Wake game can deliver. For those who are unfamiliar, this sequel weaves together two separate stories and dimensions. In one, you play as Special Agent Saga, investigating a mysterious murder. In the other, you step into the shoes of Alan himself, trapped in a dark alternate dimension. Unlike the first game, Alan Wake 2 leans more into survival horror, where you'll face terrifying monsters and solve puzzles like a detective piecing together a chilling case. Now, we're not gonna spoil the story for you, but we will say this: it's not what it looks like. Speaking of looks, this game is nothing short of a cinematic masterpiece that makes you feel like you're watching a movie, one that you can actually control. Number 2. Black Myth Wukong. Then we've got Black Myth Wukong, the best action RPG game of 2024. This game's got everything, from a gripping storyline to artistically gorgeous visuals and a thrilling combat system that is second to none. To be honest, we were a little skeptical of this game before it came out. It looked too ambitious, but the devs did a superb job of pulling it off in the best possible way. The first thing that made us fall in love was the game world. It looked incredibly detailed, with a vibrant art style that really brought the whole Chinese mythological setting to life. Then came the combat, and believe me, it's some of the smoothest, most satisfying action we've experienced in a long time. Sure, it's pretty challenging. You've got to be quick on your feet and figure out enemy attacks to be able to dodge them, especially when it comes to boss fights, because this game comes packed with a variety of seriously challenging bosses with diverse moves that will keep you on your toes all the way till the very end. Number 3. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign is probably the most thrilling campaign in all of the Call of Duty series. It is a total thriller that doesn't shy away from trying out new and more exciting stuff. At its core, it still feels like a classic Call of Duty game. But the level design here is on a whole other level, no pun intended. Every mission brings something new, and some are completely wild, like one where you infiltrate a research facility only to end up swarmed by creepy mannequin bots. These things freeze when you look at them, but spring to life the moment you look away. It seriously gives off some horror vibes. This game takes you far away from the frontline battles, with a focus on espionage missions that give you enough flexibility to choose from a number of different ways that you can complete the objectives at hand. You can be a silent assassin, taking out the targets using stealth tactics and specialized gear, or you can go with the gung fu approach using the brand new omnidirection movement. Oh yeah, and the best part? If you have Game Pass, you can play this game totally for free. Number 4. Still Wakes the Deep. Now, if you guys are into horror games, there's a very good chance you've already played Still Wakes the Deep already. But if you haven't, you are missing out on a gem. This game is a perfect example of how to get horror right without any cheap moves. Unlike most horror games, you're not fighting monsters or aliens. You're just a regular worker, stuck on an oil rig in the middle of the ocean. A massive storm is tearing down the whole rig, and your only mission is survival, while trying to get help for yourself and the others stranded with you. But doing that is not easy. You've got to navigate broken bridges, dark corridors, creepy basements, all with caution, as one wrong move could end up with you deep in the dark waters. This game can really trigger your worst phobias. However, the best part of the whole game was the story and the characters. The way they interacted with you, the stories they shared, it really created these moments of sadness and grief, but also cracks you up with some killer comedy with their jokes. It's a short but sweet journey that we can easily recommend to anyone who loves gaming. Number 5. Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erd Tree. Talking about the best games and not mentioning Elden Ring's latest expansion would be an absolute crime. Shadow of the Erdtree is sadly going to be the only expansion, and that's all the more reason for us to include it on this list. It comes packed with the best of Elden Ring in a more concise package. There are tons of new areas to explore, a massive roster of world bosses, plenty of hidden secrets, and gripping new lore. And it's all packed in a brilliant level design that really encourages you to explore every corner of this stunning new world. Now, we're not gonna lie, some of the bosses were really tough, like we never stood a chance against them. But the weapon variety had us going till we finally found our footing and got through those tough battles. This is by far the best DLC to one of the best open world games ever made. Number 6. Enshrouded. And then there's Enshrouded, which reminds us a lot of Valheim. Enshrouded is an open-world survival game that is still in early access, but polished enough to make its way on this list. It plays just like any other survival RPG, with all the basics done right, but then it adds so much more on top of that. Despite being an early access game, Enshrouded offers plenty of enemy variety and a fluid combat system, which, for now, seems easy, but it's bound to get challenging as you progress through the game. Now, we've heard people complain about the game being too easy, but we think that the difficulty is deliberate because the devs want players of all skill sets to be able to enjoy the game. Number 7. Sons of the Forest. Now, if you're looking for a more polished and brutal survival game, we also have Sons of the Forest. It's a sequel to the harrowingly dark Forest game, which brings back all the terrors from the original with much more depth. We've got some new base building mechanics, which are quite complex, deadly new creatures that seem smarter than their ancestors, changing seasons, and a vast world that is full of life, or death actually. You can really tell that the devs have done a lot to bring this world to life. Those night encounters with creepy monsters climbing the trees look really spooky. They've also done a lot of work to fix the issues with the combat, making it much more smooth. But the enemies have also become more relentless and smart, which makes every encounter with them so much more intense. If you're looking for a hardcore survival experience that keeps you busy for dozens of hours, this one is it. Number 8. Stellar Blade. Next up, we've got Stellar Blade, another solid action RPG title with a gripping story, some stunning visuals, thrilling gameplay, and, best of all, awesome character design. The game gives off major Nier Automata vibes, especially with its similar storytelling style. But it stands out with its own twists and emotional moments that will keep you hooked until the very end. Plus, the main quests and the side quests in this game are both meaningful, not just boring fetch tasks. Sure, the gorgeous characters are a big draw for many players, but this game is so much more than that. Stellar Blade offers solid combat that just keeps getting better as you unlock new skills and finishers. It's stylish, fast-paced, and takes a while to master, but is definitely worth the grind. It's an action-heavy game with a solid story that is so worth the hefty price tag. Number 9. Another Crab's Treasure. Now, if what you're looking for is a proper Souls-like experience that's maybe not as brutal as Dark Souls or other From Software games, you have to play Another Crab's Treasure. It's a lighter, more playful take on the hardcore Souls-like formula, where you play as a hermit crab on a mission to get his lost shell back. But don't completely fall for its cute visuals. This game's packed with hostile sea creatures, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. This game offers a more balanced gameplay that's equal parts fun and challenging. You get to explore a vast underwater world packed with diverse locations, strange characters, and of course, massive bosses. The combat is fast-paced, with a touch of parkour where you dodge, parry, and strike at the right time to defeat your enemies. This game would be perfect for a Souls-like beginner who just wants to get started with the genre in a more lenient way. Number 10. Pacific Drive. Now, Pacific Drive might not be a big-budget title, but it's certainly a game that any survival horror lover wouldn't want to miss. We like to think of it as a mix of Project Zomboid and Stalker 2, where you play as a lone survivor relying on his trusty old car to get through some weird anomalies in irradiated North America. Pacific Drive has all the good survival stuff, such as gathering resources, crafting, customizing, and a whole lot more. You are constantly driving through these dangerous lands with some bizarre things happening around you, as well as this kind of mysterious force field closing down on you, like in a battle royale game. Now, we're not gonna lie, it can get a little frustrating at times, especially with those in-depth car controls and features, having you do everything manually. But you do get used to it, because your car isn't just some traversal tool, it's your safe space to stay alive in this brutal world. If you are enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing. It's a massive help. Thanks! Number 11. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Alright, now let's talk about Ubisoft's latest entry to the iconic Prince of Persia title, The Lost Crown. This is a game that we never really saw coming. We gave it a shot for old time's sake, with no expectations at all. But this game literally blew us away. It offers some of the best of everything: fluid platforming, intense combat, awesome visuals, and brilliant level design. It's by far Ubisoft's best game released in some time, and one that doesn't aim for your pockets. It offers some of the best Metroidvania adventures that keep you busy with tons of thrilling quests, secrets to uncover, puzzles to solve, and enemies to fight with. Compared to many other Metroidvania games, this one is easy enough to get started with as a beginner, because you don't have to remember hundreds of combos, which makes it accessible to a broader audience. Number 12. Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. Next up, we've got Banisher's Ghost of New Eden, a game that we both enjoyed very much. Banishers brings together the best parts of some video game masterpieces: a vast and detailed game world that reminds us of RDR2, brilliant quests and side missions that are on par with Witcher 3, as well as a super engaging God of War style of exploration. The game tells a gripping story that, we've got to admit, takes a while to cook, but is so worth the patience, especially with those fully voiced characters that you get to interact with.
He has told the truth. You may go in peace.
The same goes for the combat. It takes a little getting used to, but when you do, it feels so satisfying. As you progress along, you develop some new skills, which become crucial when facing new enemies that you come across through different areas. It takes quite some patience to get into, so if that's not your strong suit, this game might not be for you. Number 13. Metaphor ReFantazio. Metaphor ReFantazio is a 10 out of 10 JRPG that brings the best of games like Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. You've got a gripping story that explores some deep lore, combined with brilliant social elements that let you interact with the people you're trying to save. ReFantazio brings back that intense tactical turn-based combat that takes some serious skills to win, especially against the villains like Count Louis. This is a complex, layered game with a lot going on around you, but it never feels overwhelming. Instead, it delivers a great story that lives with you long after you finished playing. As Persona fans, we had high hopes for this game, and it's pretty safe to say it easily topped our expectations in every way possible. Number 14. Silent Hill 2. Then we have Silent Hill 2, the 2024 remake of the cult classic horror game made all the way back in 2001. Let us start by saying that this game is definitely a banger for those who loved the original. It builds upon everything that made the first game a hit, with overhauled visuals and a game world that is full of detail. The atmosphere in this game is unsettling and downright terrifying. The whole town has a creepy vibe that never lets you feel safe. One of the things that we love about Silent Hill 2 is the way that it makes your character feel so grounded. You don't have any superpowers, you're just a guy who's determined to find his wife. Silent Hill 2 doubles down on the investigation parts of the game, letting you solve more puzzles, talk to some weird characters, and of course, experience some intense encounters with these mutated creatures. It's great that the game offers different difficulty levels, which adds to its replay value. Number 15. Rise of the Ronin. If you've already played Black Myth Wukong and now you're looking for a similar experience, you might want to give Rise of the Ronin a shot. It's another epic action-adventure, but it takes a bit of a different approach to combat. You aren't just limited to melee. You can use guns to blow your enemies to bits, or be a proper ninja with shuriken and blades. There's just so much variety to the combat. Now, it's not as brutal as some of From Software's Souls-likes, but it still takes a lot of focus and skill. Number 16. Astrobot. And last but not least, we've got to talk about 2024's Game of the Year contender, Astrobot. This game really took us by surprise. I mean, we love Astrobot, but Sony has really outdone themselves with this awesome game. It's a charming adventure, with tons of variety and level design that keeps you hooked for many hours. Now, of course, we understand this game is mostly designed for kids, with a simple enough gameplay and easy difficulty, but that doesn't make it any less interesting or exciting for the adult audience. This is more like a love letter to the golden years of PlayStation history, with tons of Easter eggs spread across the levels that even a non-gamer will find exciting. And there you have it, folks, the best single-player games of the year so far. We are sure that you guys have your own favorite picks for this year, so do let us know which ones you love the most and why. That's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back with another one real soon. Until then, take care.